excuse me, earlier that money had already been provided for, I guess, children of incarcerated individuals who faced a death or a life imprisonment, but that money perhaps was not being effectively used or effectively spent now. Would that be?
Certainly, I don't want to express any disrespect for the people who are serving the needs of the children of the incarcerated, but I think that the efforts are inadequate, and I think that our understanding, one of the best things that I learned studying the death penalty for all this year is that the effects of trauma can be successfully treated. Domestic violence, school violence, violence within the prison, so much of this has to do with our understanding of post-traumatic stress. And one of the leading, her name is Dr. Lee Norton, has identified to me that treatments are successful. They don't look like psychotherapy. They are different. And because so many of us are suffering from post-traumatic stress sorts of symptoms, I think that's the key. I think that's where we should lead. Following 9/11, another one of my children skipped school for the first time.
All right.
And because she is not a seasoned criminal, she of course confessed to her crime right off that she did in fact leave the campus. And when asked why, she said incredulously, "Don't you people read the news?" She was terrified to be in she was not a criminal, but she didn't want to be in a public place and a public target 4 days after 9/11. And I do think we have a generation of children that would benefit greatly if we were to revise the whole system of clemency and the justice system in general with the principles of restorative justice.
Okay. Now, would that mean we would be more concerned about rehabilitation, perhaps, than punishment? Speak to that.
I do think.
You find that that's a major problem.
It's a major problem, and I do think it addresses the issue that we've got to teach our children to accept responsibility. When the consequences of accepting responsibility are too harsh, we've got to take responsibility for that system. And I think that if we were to allow people to take responsibility with and accept the consequences, I do think that's a very important part of it. Accept the consequences of what they've done. And obviously, if you're dealing with a murder, you can never bring back a life. But if you have murdered an income earner, you certainly can supplement that family's income if you can work in a normal setting.
And so that would be a method of perhaps taking responsibility for having removed that income earner from that particular family, and you would, therefore, you would be willing to compensate in a real sense for the
I
loss
think
of that
compensation is an appropriate manner. I think you have to repair any damage possible, whatever your crime. And the last thing you have to do is, I think that the most important way to honor a victim is to assist young people in not following your path.
Well, now that's something that we've got about a minute and a half, and let's have you to speak to young people in terms of their responsibility and for education and to stay out of violence and etc. Speak to that.
Keep in mind that I stated that according to social bonding theory, it's not fear of consequences that deters criminal behavior. Instead, it is having a stake in conformity. So, although it may seem in some ways to be rewarding wrong behavior, in fact, if we provide the social supports, and don't brand our children at such an early age. I mean, the fact that single mothers are losing their jobs because we made a mistake and released juvenile records, you know, we've got to repair that damage. We have to be, I think, the justice system has to be the leader in terms of showing young people how to accept responsibility for mistakes and how to correct them.
Very good. And of course, let me, over the last half minute that we have here, Dr. ACharvet, thank you for bringing that information and, in a real sense, exploring with us some of the problems that individuals who have been incarcerated and perhaps might face the death penalty, some of the problems that they and their families face, as well as those individuals who might not be might not face the death penalty but have been incarcerated for the rest of their lives, and some of the problems that this has created for society as well.
It's the latter group for which I have the most concern.
And of course, we can appreciate that, and I'm sure that the information that you've given us is something that can open discussion in reference to such a topic. And of course, let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.